It's time to welcome in our next guest, and his name, of course, is synonymous with Australian rules football in this country. He is a four-time premiership coach with the Hawks and is now the current coach of North Melbourne. He'll be here in Tassie tomorrow, leading his Kangaroos against the Gold Coast Suns in the final round of the season. Alastair Clarkson, welcome to SEN Tassie Breakfast. Thanks for joining us.
G'day, boys. How you going?
We are going very well, mate. How are you, more to the point? It's obviously been a really tough year for you, but how are you now? You've been back in the coaching role for a few weeks.
No, it's good. Yeah, I'm good as gold now. So, yeah, unfortunately for me, the season ends this weekend for us. All the rest of the club's probably ready for a spell. I'm ready to gear up and get going again next week. But unfortunately, we won't have a game to play. But maybe that's the incentive to try and get better and be playing through the great month of September. It's the best time to be playing footy, and we'll miss it this year, but. Yeah, hopefully we can work our way back to getting there pretty soon.
Clarko, obviously you missed a little bit of time, but apart from that, how would you rate, I suppose, where North are at and your first 12 months being back at the club?
Yeah, well, listen, we got a lot of work to do as a footy club, Paine, but yeah, all footy clubs go through this at periods of time of their history, and North's been there before, and most clubs have had tough periods of time. Ours have been a little bit longer than we'd like. It's 4 years now where the club's been either on the bottom or the bottom two. So that's a little bit longer, and certainly from the league's point of view, I think the ideal model with the 18-team comp, whether this is NBA or NFL or Aussie rules, which has sort of got a very strongly regulated equalisation type of model. The whole idea of it, in essence, in purity, utopia would be that you have one position every 18 years, and so if you finish first somewhere in there, and you finish ninth somewhere in there, and you finish 18th, but in a pure equalisation model, no team's meant to stay on the bottom for a 3 or 4 year period. So that's the challenges of the actual equalisation model now, because there's so many compromises to it. Free agency and the like, and academies for some of the clubs where they're given a leg up with securing talent from sort of 14 or 15 years of age, like the northern clubs can. So there's compromises everywhere, and that's why it's difficult for some clubs that aren't afforded some of those benefits for them to climb the ladder again. So yeah, we're going to be pretty keen to go to the draft and utilise our early picks. Like we did last year with Sheasel and Wardlaw and Braden George, and just it's going to be a build over a period of time, but that's the exciting part about it. Starting from scratch and building something pretty special.
Yeah, you mentioned Wardlaw and Sheasel. Is there other talent you'll bring into the club? But have you seen things that you like going forward? Are you seeing light at the end of the tunnel, if you like, and you're on the right track?
Yeah, well, we've got a kid called Charlie Comben who, broke his leg in about round 7, I think it was, or round 8, somewhere thereabouts. And he was progressing really well for us. He's a key position forward, and could play key position back too. But we just had a bit of disruption in terms of continuity with some of our players that were ready to take the next step. Charlie's been in the program for 3 or 4 years, and Tom Powers had an interrupted year, and he's been in the program for 3 or 4 years. So, and then we had sort of the guys who are established players like Luke Davies-Uniacke and Jai Simpkin. I think at different stages, each of those guys have played a bit and then missed some games, played a bit more and then missed some games. That lack of continuity. It doesn't matter what sportsman you are, whether you're in Paine's field in cricket or whether it's Aussie rules or whether you're an athlete. If you can't get continuity and stability with your own team, then you're probably going to have fluctuations in performance. And for our side, that he's been battling the last couple of years. We needed those sorts of things to get right. Now some of that are in our control, and we just need to get better at it. And some of it outside of our control. Some of these injuries that occur to players in game, concussions and like breaking a leg like Charlie Comben did. But we've got some good young lads there, and We just need to show them the way and bring in some more talent and just slowly build ourselves up.
Alastair Clarkson is our special guest on SEN Tassie Breakfast this morning. Clarko, if we can switch focus to Tasmania's AFL bid, you've obviously played a big part in that too over the journey. What have you made of the disagreements we're having down here over Macquarie Point Stadium?
Yeah, well, listen, what I do know, doing some research right around the world to help prepare Tassie get this bid, is that Tasmania has got a very, very unique opportunity. Part of that is that certainly not another sport in a country or team in the country that has got the type of government support that the Tasmanian team will have. That's pretty unique in world sport, let alone here in Australia. And in addition to that, maybe outside Sydney Harbour, the site of the new stadium is perhaps the best in the country, if not the world. And so, that whole precinct could be really, really special, especially if they make it more than just a football ground. I could understand the gripes from the general community down there if this was just a facility that was just going to profit football, but it's not. This will profit the economy because they make it into a precinct and a 24/7 level of engagement with all the community. Then everyone, in particular Hobart, but the wider Tasmanian community, everyone will benefit because the economic impact of a 24/7 facility in one of the best harbours in the world is very, very special. And it's a challenge. I know it's public money, and but I think there's all sorts of things going on in the background where they can try to diffuse the impact on how significant that public money spend might be, and that will appease everyone. Because I don't think there's any doubt of the Tasmanian people. They want their team in the AFL. It's just at what cost, and they don't want it to be at a significant cost to the purse of the government. And I think they're working on ways that they can reduce that so that we get the best of both worlds. Tassie get their team in the competition, but it doesn't cost the Tassie taxpayer the type of money that ties them down for a long period of time.
What about the runway, Clarko? 2028's obviously been the date mentioned for entry. We might have to play at UTAS and Bellerive for a year before the stadium is built, but I fear that's going to be pushed back with the delays with the stadium build, etc. What's the ideal runway, do you think, for launch? How many years do you need to get prepared?
Oh, the longer runway, the better, really. And I mean that's difficult because people want the team to come in straight away. It's like, gee, we finally got there. Can we have the team next year? But the longer the runway that Tassie can have, the better. I think we've seen from what's happened with Gold Coast and GWS, probably particularly Gold Coast. It is a really, really difficult path. And as we've seen with North Melbourne, it is a tough competition to compete in. And even clubs that are established and been around for a long, long period of time, like North Melbourne since 1925, find themselves anchored to the bottom of the ladder for a period of time. So it is a tough comp. So don't come into the competition with your eyes closed. Come in with your eyes open, knowing that it's going to be tough, but be as well prepared as you possibly can be. So the longer the runway, the better, the more chance that the club has got of actually having its training and administration facility all sorted, having its stadium all sorted, having its pathways program and administration structure all sorted. Now, the administration structure is a really quick one to get up and going, really, but the pathways one isn't. How are Tasmania going to inject players into their competition, and where do they play before they start playing for the actual Tasmanian team once it gets into the competition? And all those types of challenges need to be addressed by the consortium that's going to be running the club, which is really exciting. But my advice would be just don't rush it, because we saw Gold Coast and GWS were parachuting into the competition probably within 24 months of their announcement to be injected into the competition, and it's been tough. Yeah, GWS got to a final, but Gold Coast still hasn't played finals, and it's been in over a decade. So patience is a pretty handy virtue when it comes to bringing teams into a competition.
Yeah, Clark, you've touched on the Gold Coast there. They've finally landed Damien Hardwick. What are your thoughts on that? Is he the right man to turn them around and make them a really competitive side?
Yeah, well, I'd be thinking to myself, knowing Dimmer pretty well, that they're in real trouble if he can't get them going. He's a great coach, and so that's the paradox with this is that he's the right bloke for sure. But it's a concern for him if he can't get them going. I'm not sure whatever's going to get those guys going up there.
And do you think Tassie have to go down a similar route with a sort of tried and tested coach first up? I think Gold Coast have probably got a couple of their appointments maybe wrong along the journey.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, not necessarily, but yeah, I think probably in its early days, maybe if they went that way, but I wouldn't say that's the highest priority of the club. I think a much more significant priority is what we just spoke about. You know, just being patient and making sure they get the structure of their club. You know, how they best position themselves to bring in talent to the club, whether it's through draft or trading, and what are all those mechanisms, so that the Tasmanian team are more capable of competing. Because as we've seen in my situation this year, it's like, heralded coach, now Clarkson's going to come in and do some magnificent things, and he'll get them going straight away. You need a whole heap of things. It's not just the coach. In actual fact, the coach is really just the icing on the cake. You need the talent, you need the stability of the club, and as we've seen with North, there's been instability, whether it's change of coaches, change of CEOs, change of presidents, change of sponsors. It's a whole heap of things that you need to get right, and that would be the thing that I'd be focused on for Tassie, and the coach is just really a part of that.
Well, Clarko, we could sit here and talk footy with you all day, but unfortunately we're out of time. But we wish you all the very best tomorrow. Your final game of the season, North Melbourne taking on the Gold Coast at Blunston Arena, of course. Get along and support the Roos in their final game of the season here in Hobart. Clarko, we really appreciate your time, mate, and all the very best for the off-season as well.
Good on you, boys. Thanks very much.
Alastair Clarkson, the greatest of all time as far as coach is concerned here in the AFL. What a superstar he is.